Welcome to this fast-paced explainer. Okay, today we are unpacking 5 absolutely massive global and domestic stories. The real through line here? We're looking at how sudden, unexpected shocks are creating these massive, long-term ripple effects. Let's dive in.
Here is our flight path for today. We've got 1. The Gala shooting fallout. 2. The U.S.-Iran nuclear standoff. 3. The Israel-Lebanon border conflict. 4. The Federal Reserve showdown. And finally, 5. The midterm map battle. All right, let's get right to our first stop.
Section 1. The Gala shooting fallout. Now, we really need to look strictly at the data here, cutting through all the heavy online conspiracy theories surrounding that thwarted attack at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
So let's look at the suspect's background, because it completely defies typical expectations. Cole Thomas Allen is a seemingly normal 31-year-old Caltech grad with a master's in computer science. He's a game developer, a part-time high school tutor, and public records even show a $25 donation to Act Blue. This profile has literally left authorities and the public scrambling, trying to reconcile this very quiet, academic background with the violent event that almost unfolded.
You might be wondering, how close did he actually get? Well, by checking into the Hilton a day prior with weapons presumably stashed in his luggage, he completely bypassed the initial 2 p.m. public lockdown. He was ultimately stopped and arrested just minutes before the speech, as he approached the heavily guarded, ticketed magnetometer checks. It shows us exactly where the vulnerabilities were and where that hard perimeter finally held up.
And his manifesto reveals this incredibly intense, chilling level of premeditation. He explicitly targeted administration officials, but paradoxically, he tried to minimize innocent casualties. He even noted he'd use buckshot rather than slugs to prevent bullets from piercing the hotel walls. It's a highly specific motive directly targeting the current administration.
On the other side of this, Donald Trump immediately and forcefully rejected the manifesto's accusations. During a 60 Minutes interview, when journalist Norah O'Donnell read a quote from the shooter's manifesto accusing the president of various crimes, Trump firmly shut it down. He called it crap from some sick person and expressed real outrage that the network would even air those allegations.
So what's the big takeaway here? There is a massive political war brewing over whether the security actually worked. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche highlighted that, hey, the system worked, the suspect barely breached the perimeter by a few feet and nobody got hurt. But on the flip side, House Speaker Mike Johnson and others argue the security was way too lax. They're pointing to this really dangerous gray area of responsibility between the Secret Service inside and local police handling the street traffic outside.
Okay, moving to Section 2, the U.S.-Iran nuclear standoff. Shifting our focus from domestic security over to global geopolitics, let's examine these totally stalled negotiations.
Those highly anticipated Islamabad talks? Yeah, they collapsed before they even began due to completely incompatible demands. Trump actually canceled the trip after reviewing an Iranian proposal. Iran demanded the lifting of the U.S. blockade and the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. But crucially, they left out the one thing the U.S. actually wanted, an end to Iran's nuclear weapon capabilities. Both sides are standing incredibly firm on their non-negotiables right now.
11 tons. To really wrap your head around the sheer scale of the leverage at play here, look at that number. That's the estimated maximum tonnage of highly enriched uranium currently sitting inside Iran. According to international inspectors, that is enough material to theoretically produce 100 nuclear weapons. Despite targeted strikes on their facilities in the past, experts note that Iran still retains the fundamental industrial capacity to move forward if they choose to.
But despite that nuclear leverage, the economic reality inside Iran is, well, it's crippling as they try to wait out this U.S. blockade. Their economy is buckling. Inflation is projected to hit nearly 49%. They're resorting to desperate workarounds, like storing massive amounts of oil on floating tankers out at sea and attempting to export it via trains to China just to survive. It's this incredibly high-stakes waiting game to see whose pressure points break first.
Section 3. The Israel-Lebanon border conflict. We are remaining in the Middle East here to look at the incredibly volatile situation right on this specific border.
You know, the official term ceasefire here is a stark contrast to the actual realities on the ground. Even with an official 3-week extension, both IDF forces and Hezbollah just continue to exchange deadly fire. The IDF is conducting preemptive artillery strikes, while Hezbollah is launching deadly drone attacks that have resulted in casualties among Israeli troops. And right in the middle of it all, civilians in southern Lebanon are facing urgent evacuation orders.
So why does this matter to the bigger picture?
Because this ongoing military action is creating immense domestic political pressure inside Israel, and it's setting the stage for a massive electoral showdown this October. Two opposition parties, one centrist and one right-wing, have actually united to challenge Prime Minister Netanyahu. They're criticizing his government for not securing decisive enough victories. The fallout from this border conflict is for sure going to be heavily felt at the ballot box.
All right, zooming back stateside for Section 4, the Federal Reserve Showdown. Let's break down this totally avoidable, yet highly consequential, structural battle over the United States economy.
Let's walk through exactly how this political tug-of-war unfolded step by step. First, a federal judge found zero evidence of a crime by current Fed Chair Jerome Powell. The administration, unhappy with interest rates, leaned heavily on the DOJ to investigate cost overruns at the Fed headquarters. But when a judge blocked the probe, calling it a clear pressure campaign, it took Republican Senator Tom Tillis halting the confirmation of the president's preferred replacement to finally force the DOJ to drop the investigation entirely.
The absolutely crucial takeaway here is this rare public stand by a Republican senator. Senator Tom Tillis recognized that using the Justice Department to strong-arm the central bank sets a really dangerous precedent. By withholding his crucial vote, he ensured he got explicit assurances that the probe wouldn't be used as a political weapon to threaten the Fed's historical independence from the executive branch.
With that investigation officially paused, the clock is literally ticking now on this massive stress test for the Federal Reserve. They are rushing to secure a new chair by mid-May. Powell's term is expiring, and the administration wants Kevin Warsh in that seat immediately. But lingering questions remained about Warsh's financial disclosures and whether he'll actually maintain the Fed's required independence. This makes these next few weeks absolutely critical for the future of U.S. monetary policy.
Finally, let's look at the electoral horizon with Section 5, the midterm map battle. We're going to break down the aggressive maneuvering happening right now ahead of the midterms.
Look at this play by Governor DeSantis down in Florida. He's making a last-minute redistricting push to secure 4 additional Republican seats to potentially save the House majority. He's proposing carving the state into 24 Republican-leaning seats and just 4 Democratic ones. It's a massive, high-risk gamble. Because, by spreading out Democratic voters to dilute their power, Republicans are actually making their own previously safe districts slightly more competitive. That could easily backfire if independent voters swing the other way.
Now, you might be wondering, how do they plan to get away with drawing this map in secret? They're using 2 specific legal shields to run out the clock against Democratic challenges. First, the Purcell principle, which argues that courts shouldn't change election maps right before voters head to the polls. Add in the Apex doctrine, which forces opposing lawyers to depose every single low-level staffer before they can even speak to the leaders who actually drew the maps. Together, these are designed to stall any pushback until after the election is already over.
But even if Democrats successfully challenge those maps, they've got another headache. They are currently split into 3 distinct competing messaging lanes. Some want to focus strictly on kitchen table economics and affordability. Others are pushing hard for a platform built around the immediate impeachment of Trump. And a third faction is focusing on invoking the 25th Amendment Mental Fitness Commission. Running 3 entirely different messages simultaneously really risks diluting all of them.
29%. That is a remarkably low number. It's the percentage of Americans who currently approve of the administration's handling of the economy. And this data point provides the absolute strongest, most evidence-backed lane for Democrats. While impeachment and the 25th Amendment might fire up the base, the numbers clearly indicate that independent voters are feeling the pressure of inflation, gas prices, and housing costs way above everything else.
Wrapping up this explainer, I want to leave you with this question to chew on. When the dust finally settles on all these converging crises, from the Fed's independence to the volatile borders of the Middle East to aggressive new election maps, what will actually drive the average voter's decision? Will they vote to hold leaders accountable for systemic norms, or will the daily reality of their grocery bills dictate the future of the country? Let us know what you think, and keep asking questions.